Montana's biggest city of Billings, with a population of approximately 120,000, was once a town of cowboys and railroaders. But how did Billings become the bustling city that it is today? Was it Frederick H. Billings, the city's namesake but who never even lived in Montana? Or was it Yagan, Bear, Zimmerman, or any of the other prominent men's names that you see when driving around the city? Please, allow me to introduce you to Preston Boyd Moss. Preston Boyd, or P.B. Moss, was born on September 28th of 1863 in Paris, Missouri, to parents David Hickman Moss and Melville Hollingsworth Moss. P.B. would grow up in Paris, Missouri, before leaving to attend Eastman Commercial School in Poughkeepsie, New York, where he would take a course on business. He would eventually return to Paris, Missouri, however, taking up work for his father at a bank that he owned. After being employed at his father's bank for approximately a year, a young P.B. Moss would open a chain of 5 lumber yards, in which he would operate for about 6 years. After his tenure with lumber, he would meet the love of his life, Martha Moss, who preferred to go by Maddie. Maddie and P.B. would be married on June 5th of 1889. In 1892, P.B. would be called out to Montana for the opportunity to invest in banking. Once arriving in Billings, P.B. would write a letter to Maddie stating that, quote, "There is more happening at midnight in Billings than at noon in Paris, Missouri." From his visit to Billings, it's clear P.B. saw potential in what the town could become. P.B. and Maddie would move to Billings, Montana in 1893, and banking would not be where P.B. ended his business endeavors, as he owned or held partial ownership of over 70 businesses in the Billings area that we know of. About half of his obituary is dedicated to his businesses, showing just how influential he was in the Billings area. Reading, quote, "Mr. Moss, during his 56 years in Billings, was president for 18 years of the old First National Bank, owner and operator from 1908 to 1914 of the Gazette Printing Company, owner of the Billings Utility Company, organizer of the Mutual Telephone Company, which in 1907 has the first automatic dial system in Montana, and builder of the city's first packaging plant." Among the accomplishments listed in the announcement of his death, P.B. would also help facilitate the growth of the Billings Heights by partnering with Ignatius D. O'Donnell and Henry W. Rowley to open the Billings Land and Irrigation Company. This shows not only the time and investment P.B. would put into the Billings community, but also the ingenuity he would bring to the city as well. I believe it is a fair assessment to say that without P.B., Billings would not have modernized as nearly as quickly as it has. Perhaps the best showcase of faith that P.B. put into the good people of Billings, Montana, was the time that he spent banking. He made it clear through his words and his actions that he put his trust into the people who banked with him. It is because of this trust that P.B. would open the First National Bank and the First Trust and Savings Bank of Billings. At this trust, he would target his focus towards individuals over businesses. And if people could not repay their loans to him, he would accept his repayments in sheep. P.B.'s First National Bank would last through 2 major banking crises, until, during a period of financial calm in 1910, P.B. would be forced to close down both the First National Bank and the First Trust and Savings Bank of Billings by federal bank examiners. A Butte newspaper would comment on the forced closure of P.B.'s bank, stating that, quote, "If he has but one fault, it has been the overconfidence in the future of this Commonwealth, and particularly the section in which he has made his home." But P.B. rejected this notion, stating that, quote, "Every enterprise that can be gotten here and owned and controlled by local people is so much toward making the town that much better. This is the only true way of building up a thriving city." It's because of this mindset that P.B. would endeavor to build the city of Moss, Maine. It was intended to be a garden city, run by local people for local people. No money would be required to purchase land in Moss, Maine. The people who lived there would operate under a cooperative farming agreement, in which profits would go to the producer through an assured market. However, this endeavor would never progress past blueprints, as the drought of 1917 and a change in travel habits after World War I would all contribute to the failure of Moss, Maine. P.B. knew that in order to build a bustling economy, money needed to be put into the city. By the time the 1930s rolled around, Preston did not believe in making a profit off of banking. This is shown through his interest in a nationalized banking system. This was likely due to him seeing the corruption of bankers as a banker himself, or perhaps he was still disgruntled from the forced closure of his own bank. But as Christopher W. Shaw points out in his article, A Banker Aspires to Bust the System, that PB was, quote, not known for adhering to the approved rules of conservative banking. Instead, his decisions endeavored to extend the credit that the community required to grow and prosper, and that any missteps as president of the bank were, according to the Billings Gazette, errors of generous public spirit and confidence in his neighbors, rather than from faults or crimes of miserly avarice or corrupted selfishness. PB truly believed in everything that Billings could be, and he proudly and consistently put all of his money towards the city. This is demonstrated best through the Northern Hotel. PB wanted Billings to have a hotel that it could, quote, be proud of, unquote. And thus, in 1902, he and Henry W. Rowley constructed the building. According to the Northern's website, the building enjoyed over 30 years of prosperity before it caught fire in 1940. PB stood on the sidewalk and watched as the building burned to the ground. He was asked if the structure would be rebuilt or if he would simply just pocket the insurance money. And a 77-year-old PB responded, quote, why no, we're going to rebuild the best hotel in the state of Montana, unquote. The rebuilding of the Northern would be pursued immediately, with the building that we know and love today being reopened on July 7th of 1942. PB commented to a friend that, quote, last year I got out of debt for the first time in my life. After taking this on, I suppose I'll be in debt for the rest of it, unquote. PB was correct in assuming so, as he would die of a heart attack just a couple years later. Preston invested tirelessly in the Billings community, not to leave an everlasting legacy, as he never put his names on any of his businesses, with the exception of Moss, Maine, but by recognizing and fulfilling the needs of the people. He saw that whiskey was easier to get in Billings than good, clean drinking water. So he, Henry Belknap, and H.J. Rowley would open the Billings Water Power Company, which would provide the people of Billings with clean water, as opposed to more whiskey. He would also be one of the men responsible for building the Billings Polytechnic Institute. Billings and cities like it need capital to grow and succeed. People like P.B. Moss are able to nurture and grow that capital and to help lay the foundations for what Billings has grown into today. He left Billings better than he found it, helping it develop from a town with a population of just over 3,000 to a city with a population of over 30,000 by the time of his death.